It's time for Q&A in the Kitchen, podcast edition, episode number 7. How much notice does my artist need to change a tattoo design? Brought to you in part by Skin Kitchen Tattoo, the Axiom Body Piercing Studio, and Death Before Decaf. It's a show where tattoo artists and body piercers and those in the body art industry sit down and answer one question to the point where they beat it to death. So let's join the conversation now between Jack, Westley, and DaVo. If I wanted to change my design, how much notice do I need to give the tattoo artist before I come in?
Well, that somewhat, in my opinion, depends on the design and how intricate and crazy and time that was needed or is going to be needed to get the design put together. If it's a little kind of jammer thing and you're just wanting to, maybe change a little bit of something or maybe add in an extra little flower bud, that could be done at the time of the tattoo. But if it's, a full sleeve or, a complex design that takes a lot of time as far as layout and getting things to work right. And, like a lot of people will come in and they'll dump a bunch of stuff on you and they'll give you a spot and they'll go, I want all that stuff somehow to be made like it's one cohesive idea right there. So there's a lot of work involved in that. Just how am I going to put all those things together so it doesn't look like a bag of shit and, to make it look nice, blah, blah, blah. So say, you've been working on that for a week and your appointment is 3 weeks out. So there's 2 weeks till your appointment. And you call with a small change. Oh, I forgot. I need a toilet brush in there too for my grandma. She loved cleaning toilets. So you're like, okay, fuck that. I could probably squeeze something in there. No, it's gonna. Yeah, okay, all right. We'll make it work. And then a few days before you come in and you're like, you know what? I want to do this instead. Well, now you've completely mentally exhausted the artist. The amount of energy, at least for me, that that I have to put into your idea and your design, there's only going to be so much of it. And if I've already used up a bunch of my juices on this design and now you've just flushed it and changed your idea over this all of a sudden, I'm like, well, am I going to put that same amount of energy back into this idea thinking that, well, they could just pull this rug out from under me too. So it creates kind of this tentative, thing. When you come in and you're excited, you've got a really good idea of what you want, and you give the artist a good idea, and they can smash it out and be really happy with it because you gave them a good idea and it was good to begin with, and you're excited about it, man, you're going to get a great tattoo. But if you're all wishy-washy, it starts kind of, at least for me, it kind of starts putting me off like, I wanted to be excited about this, but now you're not excited about this, so.
Absolutely right. It's a shot of confidence right there. A shot to the confidence.
Yeah.
Takes a bit of it away, and, it's not going to be a whole lot of it, but it's enough that just makes the tattoo a little bit less fun for us. And that does, like you said, it does affect us a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think that nowadays with a lot of artists being digital on different digital pads and things for drawing, that you're right, a lot of these little changes can be done pretty quickly on the fly, but it's hard for a client to know exactly what changes are big changes. So I think in the end it's best to consult your artist if you need to make changes. As soon as you're thinking about those changes, hit your artist up and let them know I'm thinking about these things, and try to read off them. If they're saying it's not a good idea to add these things in, then that might be the case. Mm-hmm. If they say it's a good idea, they can be added in, but it's going to push your appointment back a week because of that. Don't be surprised by it. I think, so as a client, it's tough for them to know how much it will. But
I know how it is for a client too. That I think they're sitting there, and they know their appointment's coming up, and they're thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it, and they're like, "Ooh, oh, this could be cool.
Yeah.
That could be great," And in the meantime, I'm sitting there trying to get this idea that you gave to me originally to work. And then you come in all excited about this brand new idea. Well, dude, I'm still excited about this idea that now, okay. So I think some soul searching before you come in
Exactly.
Be, kind of, know what you want, because
sometimes that change of an idea is really just the next tattoo you're waiting for too. So it might be
A
a thing
lot-
you just
yeah.
need to
Or
push off
something,
and say,
or something you can expand on the current tattoo with.
yeah, later
Right.
on down the line.
Like if you
Exactly.
want a butterfly, well, yeah, we can do a really, really cool butterfly over on the other side that ties into that floral scene that you're doing, or a hummingbird or something.
Exactly.
So then you're starting to develop into a sleeve.
right.
Yep, or
And
bigger, better pieces in general. Yep.
And I guess the balance is, I don't necessarily want to charge an art fee. I don't want to charge you straight up for the time I sat down and worked on this design, But sometimes you almost feel like you should, because I think it's just like in the band, on the band, like when you're a band, people see you on stage for 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and no big deal. They don't see the 3 days, 4 days a week for 3 hours over at your buddy's basement working, writing, writing, and it's a lot like us, in a way,
That 30-minute tattoo,
you don't see all the work and time that goes on and thought and everything that goes into that design for you just to go, oh, no, forget that. Now I want this. It's like,
you 3 times. And your 30-minute tattoo was a 3-hour drawing before
exactly.
the tattoo.
Yeah. So
Do you think part of that's because of the television presentation of you come in, you consultation,
Absolutely.
and then the next cut after they formalize this
I think
idea
people are wising up to it,
is
but I think
them sitting in the chair and then prepping for tattoo.
absolutely. Yeah. A lot of people don't have any idea. Case in point, I had a consult yesterday, and the guy wanted a crucifix scene on his back, from his neck to his lower back. And it was a beautiful painting, obviously color painting, and I asked him if he wanted it color black and gray. And he was like, well, I'd really like some color in it. Which means, okay, it's color. You can't just
take longer.
Well, you can't just in a design like that, you can't just put in a little skin tone here and there and make it look finished and beautiful. It's instead of putting in values with just black, you're mixing and putting in all these values, so it's way different process and takes a way longer time. And he said, well, how long do you think that'll take? And I said, well, probably 15 to 20 hours. And he's like, he about choked, and he thought it would be like 3 hours. So sometimes people are blown away in the amount of time that it even takes to put it on, let alone the time it takes in the background to put it all together, especially when they see a TV show, when over the commercial break they come back and they have this beautiful sleeve drawn up. It's really misleading, and it can build frustration on both sides of the aisle, because they think, well, what the hell, this is no big deal. This should be done in 30 minutes. That's the way it happened on TV, and the whole sleeve was done, and can make
And it just puts a lot of pressure on.
Yeah, because I don't want them to think that that's what's happening, but I'm not going to hurry and do a quick job either.
Squeeze a 20-hour tattoo into 3 hours?
Yeah.
Not possible. Not happening.
Nobody's going to come out good on that end now. So, yeah.
Well, before I throw in my 2 cents, this is brought to you in part by Def Before Decaf.
Yeah.
And that's what we're drinking here, and we fully endorse the drinking of coffee.
They use the best caffeine that on the planet. That's a guarantee. If you can find a coffee with a better caffeine, then you should buy that.
I just think it tastes good.
That too. And yes, go. So yeah, she's. You can find her on Instagram. You can find her on Facebook. She's awesome. She's always getting new flavors and stuff too. She just came out with another one. Wine. It's got wine something. Anyway, check her out. It's awesome. Good stuff. You won't be sad about it.
And there'll be links in the description.
Yeah, look for that.
So you can order it directly. Couple things. First off, I don't know who came up with the idea, or I don't know who I heard say it once, but the difference between a good artist and a great artist is knowing how to edit, knowing when to stop. And part of that comes down to that process where you have the full, complete idea, stop. Don't come in and go, oh, well, it's going to look this way or that way. Things that could be edited quickly is size. A lot of people are always worried about sizing, and that can be changed pretty rapidly.
Yeah.
In placement even, to a degree, because then that would affect sizing. The other thing is of course, if something's misspelled, please let us know in advance.
Oh boy.
Because it's really hard to fix an L into an O or a G after the fact, and it does make loved ones pretty angry.
I've looked for a tattoo machine with an eraser on it for over 20 years, and I still haven't found it yet.
The other thing is you kind of touched on this, and we'll probably do something more expansive maybe in the future, is that I don't think people understand the different styles and how it does kind of go back to a fine art level. Like with black and gray, it's more about like pencil drawings. Mm-hmm. Colored stuff can use watercolor, ink, or oil painting, and it is technical to those levels.
Right.
And that takes more time.
Sure.
Of course, sit down and sketch something, not quite so long, but to sit down and actually do an oil painting, you're looking at people that spend years doing it.
Yep. Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's why changing at the last minute isn't going to produce the best
It can really
outcome.
throw a wrench, and it creates kind of a doubt.
Yeah.
I put as much work as I have to into every design to make it as good as I possibly can. And, I mean, hours upon hours upon hours. And I really didn't realize until a couple days ago with the program that we use on our iPads, when you do a video playback, it now tells you the timestamp, and it'll tell you the amount of time it took you on that drawing. It's really interesting.
That's a nice feature.
And when I had a client kind of switch gears on me a week or two ago, I went back just to see how much time I'd put into this design that now we were scrapping at that point and starting completely over. And it was 3.5 hours. So that's an evening
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit more for me. When I get home, around 9:30 or so, I get comfortable, I get some food in me, I sit down. That's about my evening. That's the me time for the day is 3 hours. And I spent that time on this design, thinking about this design, and then the client is like,
good enough.
no, I want to do this. So yeah, it can just create that little bit of,
Yeah.
Man, I was super like, okay, cool, my homework's done, I nailed this one, she's going to be so satisfied, this is going to be great. And
Especially
then
when it's a really exciting piece.
yeah, and really
They always
a lot of them can't, a lot of them are, unless it's just the customer won't let you, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to feel like I'm beating up on them, because I don't. It's just that it's the lack of language, because you only speak so much of each other's language. Some people speak it better. Some people never been to your country before, and they walk in, like, is it okay to touch something? So yeah, it can be frustrating, and I guess when it rains it pours sometimes. It seems like when you do get customers like that, you seem to get binged with them several in a row, and it maybe starts to seem like nobody speaks your language.
My grandmother used to say is God gives you bad things consistently so that you can get past them and enjoy the good things.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just karma or whatever the heck you want to believe in
Right,
that
right.
causes that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just the rhythm of. I don't know. Maybe people just get crankier when it gets cold and they're all cooped up.
Possibly.
I don't know. Yeah, I know I do. So.
And the other thing is I think part of it comes back to older people. They're used to walking into a place, picking a design off of the wall,
Right.
and getting it put on them. Yes, that can take. Usually they'll have a stencil in the back. They can slap that thing on you in 5 minutes, and you're on your way to getting tattooed and out the door before you know it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really want a custom piece that's specific to you, it's going to take time.
Yeah.
And it's going to take that investment.
And back in the day, maybe 1 out of 50 wanted that.
Yeah.
Now there's 1 out of 50 who just want to pick something off the wall.
Yeah.
Everything is so custom now that the amount of time that it takes to be a tattoo guy is a lot. Before, all we had to do was come to work and wait for somebody to walk in the door and point at something on the wall.
Yeah.
And like DaVo said, we'd go in the back, we'd find it, size it up, stencil it up, stick it on, look at the design that they picked on the wall, look at their arm, and
Copy and paste.
copy and paste it. Now it's you come in, you sit down on this couch, and we talk for as long as you need to for us to get a good idea of what you want, so we can come up with something fucking amazing. And so it's a completely different dynamic.
Because it's the funneling. That's how ideas work. You start out with a broad idea, and then you sit down with the artist, and you keep funneling it until you get to what you want.
Yep, chip away all those
And then stop.
things that and people have a lot of time to sit there and tinker with the design in their head before their appointment. And so sometimes it's no big deal. They just want a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Yeah, no problem. And half the time, I was kind of thinking I was going to mention that to you anyway, because it kind of made sense with the design. But there are those times where you just get deflated and you're like, oh man, you feel like you get kind of punched in the gut. But because it does take so much more time after the shop closes to do our job than it used to. I mean, really, before you could leave the shop and you really didn't have to think about work.
Plus, you schedule an appointment maybe a month, maybe 2 months out.
Mm-hmm.
Now you come in, the tattoo has to completely be redrawn. The time period that was set aside for you to do that, get that tattoo, is now being kept up by the hour or so they have to do to correct that tattoo.
Right.
So they may not even be able to do it because there's no time left.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've got another client coming in. So
Right.
yeah, it's always something you want to consider.
Yeah, it's so it goes super smooth, and it seems like the bigger, more complex pieces I do go the smoothest.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like, at least lately, the smaller, more stuff like hour or 2 hour tattoos have taken the most work outside of getting the tattoo onto the skin. It's I don't know, like it's just the rhythm or the way the planets are kind of aligning right now, but it's really funny. I've done full sleeves, back pieces without the customer batting an eye, even sometimes even looking at what I had drawn previously that day that I just tattooed on them. And then there's other times where, man, you just cannot do it good enough. So it's a bit deflating, but we always, we always want to try. That's for fucking sure.
Yep.
But anyway,
Because we want you to be happy with the product.
that's the only way I get to keep the door open.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. And
So,
you're going
yeah.
to go around and advertise to everybody else that sees it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You have been listening to Q&A in the Kitchen, recorded live at the Skin Kitchen Tattoo, located in Des Moines, Iowa. Those on the panel were DaVo from the Axiom Body Piercing Studio, Jack Lowe from Skin Kitchen Tattoo, and Westley Dickerson from the Skin Kitchen. If you'd like to see further episodes, please stay tuned. We'll be posting more in the future, and do subscribe. If you would like to watch the video version of this, go over to our YouTube channel. We post these every other Sundays. You can subscribe there and not miss one episode. So until next time, have a good day and happy piercing and tattooing. And if you're in the Des Moines area, we all hope to see you for your tattooing and piercing needs in the future.